Good morning and welcome to SEC basketball reaction from games of Wednesday night. We had Auburn holding on to score a big victory over the Arkansas Razorbacks. We had Missouri just running and gunning and outpacing Alabama 110-98. We had Kentucky with a second half romp, beating Vanderbilt by 22 points. We talked about that one in a separate video last night. Might circle back to that for a minute if we've got some time. But in any case, let's get right off the top. I don't know, Max, if you want to go with Auburn or Missouri first. Two games that were very much contrasts in styles. What?
Hold on a second here. Chris, come on. You're just going to sit here and ignore that the Missouri Tigers just put up 110 points on the Alabama Crimson Tide in a top 15 showdown in Columbia, the third top 5 win of the season for Missouri, and you're going to kick this to Max instead of me first. Come on.
Well, okay. I should have known. Yeah, Mr. Dennis Gates, hype man, it's all yours.
Listen, we got a lot of Missouri fans. We got a lot of Auburn fans, so this should be a fun-filled chat for this particular episode. Maybe not for Big Baller Brett, but we'll get to that here in just a bit. But no, I think we do start with Missouri. All kidding aside. So yeah, I think look, it's their third top 5 win of the season. They just scored 110 points on Alabama. And just a quick side note here, one of the wildest stats you'll see. Alabama is the third offensive. Where are they ranked now, Max, in offense?
In the country or in the SEC?
Yeah, in the country.
3.
All right, so they're the third best offensive team in the country. Alabama has not led for a single second in the last 2 games. Third best offensive team have not led for a single second against Auburn or Missouri in the last 2 games. That is a wild stat. So, yeah, that is something. But who was it brought up? Let me find the super chat here. Max, we got a lot of chats, but
yeah,
$5 super chat. The fire alarm going off during Nate Oates' press conference. Yeah, they were on fire. Yeah, I mean that's really what it comes down to. So, I mean, Missouri got off to a great start. We talked about how that was the complete opposite in the game they played against Texas A&M, and to get off to the good start that they had here, I mean that was significant, right? Because again, you always knew Alabama was going to put up some points, and they'd make a run. They try to get it here, try to get it there, but Missouri always had an answer. And Mark Mitchell, 31 points. Caleb Grill, 25 points. Missouri gets to the free throw line 47 times. And I saw some people, Max, shocked about this on Twitter. Stunned that Missouri got the free throw line 47 times. We called it. We thought there'd be 75 free throws in this game. There was only 68. So a mild free throw shooting performance, I thought, between these two teams.
Oh, people are stunned that the team that leads the entire nation in free throw rate shot a lot of free throws in the highest pace game.
I know. But
wow. Would have never thought that one. Chris, thoughts on the matchup?
Hey, what a performance by both Caleb Grill and Mark Mitchell, who were great in their own ways. Did you see how much Grill wanted the ball down the stretch? Like the shot clock's running down. They got 4 or 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and he just launches a 35-footer that I swear I thought was going in. And the way he's shooting it, you kind of feel like it is. But big guys want the ball in that spot. He hits some that little step back from the corner. Remember that one on the left side? We had a guy right in his face. I mean, that to me kind of underscored Missouri's upside. When you've got a guy like Grill who's played forever and could just step up and make big shots, that is what wins you ball games in March. And I think certainly none of us came out feeling any worse about Missouri's chances of going far in the NCAA tournament based on what we saw last night.
12 team steals for Missouri. Ant Robinson had 3. Tamar Bates had 4. Caleb Grill had 3. Trent Pierce had 2. Guys, Caleb Grill, Nate Oates talked about it in his postgame. He had 10 rebounds to Caleb Grill, 9 defensive rebounds. Okay, you look at Alabama, Mo D had 10 rebounds. No one else had more than 4. Caleb Grill out-rebounded the combination of Grant Nelson and Big Cliff by himself. That is not acceptable for Nate Oates' front court and the physicality that he requires out of them, expects out of them. He wasn't happy. He called him right out by name in the press conference. So Nate Oates was not happy with their rebounding effort, with their physicality effort, and you could see it on multiple of those Mark Mitchell drives, just lowering his shoulder, getting to where he wants to get, and one, or they get an offensive rebound off of it, or whatever it may be. But Blake, for me, as impressive as the offense was, historic offensive night for the Missouri's program in SEC play, I thought it was kind of the big boys down low that not only held their own, but won that side of the matchup.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and again, I think you look at the different ways that Missouri can beat you, and like you said, think about all the different ways we've listed this season and wins that they've had, and we've really focused in on, kind of the numbers. Whether, all right, they're obviously a really good offensive team. Okay, obviously they force turnovers, but when you look at a performance like this from Mark Mitchell, and like this is when we talked about Missouri coming into the season, Max, like this was what we were talking about right here. Where it's like, look, if this guy puts it all together, he's going to have some monster games this year. And what do you know? He's had 2 of his 3 best games in the past week, right? 31 against Alabama, 25 against Oklahoma. And again, obviously that's just part of it, being able to use his body, get to the free throw line, just be able to convert on shots that are high percentage shots, and he's done such a good job of that. And so, listen, if you've got those 2 guys carrying you, and Mark Mitchell and Caleb Grill, and then you look at all the pieces around you where you can have any of these guys, like we said, on any given night, an Anthony Robinson, a Tamar Bates, like Tony Perkins is going to play his role in this team. We mentioned too, like even a guy like Jacob Cruz, who every now and then is going to pop up and hit a couple threes, right? And you just keep going down the line. There's so many ways this team can beat you. And I feel like there is something always each game when you have one like this, that they're always going to find different ways. And I mean, listen, I keep saying, I know people say all the time, depth's overrated, all this other stuff. I don't know about that on this Missouri team. Like, I think this is just one of those where if they have all these pieces in place heading into March, we filled out the gut bracket on back-to-back days in our minds. We crowned different national champions. Last night I was ready to crown Kentucky. Well, I may crown Missouri today because the Tigers looked pretty good here. Right on cue. Nicholas knew it was coming. Before I even said it, he knew it was coming. Get a fresh bracket up. Want to hear your newest picks after last night. We might see if we can get there. But before we do, quickly, I'll throw it back to Chris. Shout out to Joshua, the $50 super chat this morning. Not even 9 a.m. Central Time. $50 super chat coming in. Another one here, the Dennis Gates Revenge Tour. $2 on the super chat. Yeah, I don't know who coined that phrase. I'm not sure. But
I don't know.
Seemed like quite a philosopher, in my opinion, a wise man. Some may compare him to Socrates, or who else could be out there? Winston Churchill. Yeah, he's got a lot of quotes here on this this podcast. But $9.99 super chats to Jared. We appreciate you and Tyler. Yeah, you're all starting to get the theme here. Okay. That's right. I'm tanking the picks contest just for you guys. Of course I wanted to pick the Tigers, but Max gains a game up here since he did pick Missouri. I picked Alabama because, again, I don't pick Missouri in big games like this. So there you go.
You got a 2-game lead now.
2-game lead. Yeah, see, I'm fine. Here, I'm going to pick against Missouri in big games until it gets tied again. All right? Then I may have no choice but to start actually picking.
That's how I get back.
That's how it works here. All right. Anyways.
Did I text you guys my picks and all the games that I missed in terms of being out of the preview videos?
Like a day or two.
You did miss a day or two, so I don't know what the updated number is, but we'll try to get the updated.
It wouldn't have mattered anyway.
So
well, okay, wise men. who had, without cheating, the highest offensive rating in the game last night at KenPom?
Okay, I'm not cheating. Josh Gray.
Come on, be serious.
I was serious.
Don't laugh at Josh Gray. Are you kidding me? That's it.
It's the horse.
That's it.
The answer was not Josh Gray. Josh Gray ranked 8th on his own team in offensive rating. So please try.
Well, okay. So it's probably going to be the guy that we don't think of. So let me think of all the guys I just listed. It's not going to be Mark Mitchell, too obvious. Caleb Grill, too obvious. Anthony Robinson, too obvious. Tamar Bates, too obvious. Who was the other guy I said? Not Jacob Cruz. He only had 1-3 last night. Probably Tony Perkins then. It's got to be the least obvious. Anytime you ask that question, it's got to be the least obvious answer.
Dang it. You're right.
Well, what do you know? So, yeah. Well, that just shows
that
you,
proves a point
Yeah.
you were making of how many pieces they've got, which was what I was getting at.
Yeah.
The broadcast actually did a pretty good job last night at talking about how TP always has the height and weight advantage. Well, not always, but most times he does. He had 20 pounds on Holloway, 20 pounds on Phylon. He just back him down.
Yeah.
I love it.
They list him at 6'4", 200. I think that's a little light.
Sam, Max's facial response whenever
Sam knows us.
Josh Gray. Yeah.
He's like, he was hoping for it. He was just hoping.
It's one of my favorite guys.
I know. I
Um,
know.
All right, so I'm gonna give you the Max Bar special here. I already looked at it this morning because I was curious. So the old Bart Torvik, how's the team playing since this time and this time? So if we go for the month of February, the team that is playing the second best basketball in the country is the Missouri Tigers behind Duke, which, like I said, come on. Give me Mark Mitchell against Duke. Are you kidding me? Come on. Auburn 3, Florida 4, Wisconsin 5. So the Tigers really, I mean, you can go all the way back now to, what do we say? We pulled this up not long ago. Even the first of the year, like go back to January 1st in the old Bart T's numbers here. Yeah, Missouri's the fourth best team since the calendar turned to 2025. So are we that shocked, in all honesty? Like, that's just how good they're playing. Because I think what we brought up, and we've said this multiple times, yes, Missouri's lost games, but the difference, at least so far, is that, you know, they have 4 SEC losses, but the 16-point loss at Auburn, I mean, really, there's not a lot of shame in that. An 8-point loss at Texas, sure, that one was a little head-scratching, but a 4-point loss at Tennessee, 3-point loss at home to A&M, and it's just like that. You think about the point differential in some of these other games, right? I said, what is that now? Going after the Georgia game, they had won 5 games by 13 or more points. Now, take a number off there and say they've won 6 of their 9 SEC games by 12 or more points. So, wild, isn't it?
Dean brings up a point that I want to kind of talk about for a second. Insane how they're doing this coming off of the Ofer season. Well, they should not have been Ofer. They should have at least had one. And there was some injuries. But however, guys, does this kind of now moving forward, looking at kind of the bigger picture here, teams like South Carolina, LSU, teams that are kind of towards the bottom of the rankings right now, Oklahoma, Georgia. Now does Missouri having a season like this after last year put the pressure on every program now that doesn't have a good year, and their fan bases are going to be saying, well, look, Missouri just did it in 1 year.
Yes.
We can do it too. It sets a standard for year-to-year improvement now.
Okay, how on fire was Missouri's offense last night? Exhibit A, 1.39 points per possession. That's got to be a high in SEC on SEC this year. Exhibit B, a guy scores 35 points in this game last night. We have now gone 14 and a half minutes in this video. We've not mentioned his name once. That's how good Missouri was. Exhibit C, there was literally a fire in the building last night. I'm texting with my buddy Gabe Yarman. He said there was a fire in a suite a few doors down from where they were doing the post-game press conference. It was a smoky haze over the building. What a crazy night that must have been. Just all that put together.
I've got my own text from Gabe DeArmond. You want me to read it? So if Gabe's watching or listening right now, I'm going to give you what Gabe texted me this morning, okay? We had a little exchange yesterday. He watched our prediction video where Max and I talked about how we thought this was going to be the longest game in SEC play this season due to the free throw numbers. So there's Gabe's text to me. The game bordered on 3 hours, and then we had to do our post-game show through a fire in the arena. This is your fault for speaking it into existence. So Gabe's putting it on me. Put it on me. But we said it. We knew this would be a long game. It would be a long night. But, yes, I appreciate Gabe doing the hard work through all that. So, yeah.
Just your average Wednesday night in the SEC.
The SEC is it's just, yeah, come on. So.
Sorry. I haven't Josh you got to see Josh Gray start name in the post-game interview. The horse. Oh, my gosh.
Adam's right. It's a different kind of Southeastern 16 curse going on in Columbia. Maybe after that. So, look, everybody's saying that we're gonna have to watch this Gabe's live post game with Legendary. I gotta get a watch on this. I gotta see what happened. The actual response. So, all right. So let's just quickly talk about the Alabama side of things. Actually, we still got some more. Let me make sure. We got another super chat. I think Joshua gave us another $50 super chat. Look, hey, if he's gonna give us $50 and then another $50. I'm never picking Missouri again the rest of the season. Like, that's the rule. Like, guess who they play on Saturday? They go to Arkansas. Spoiler alert. I'm going to go ahead and tell you who I'm picking in that one right now. You don't even have to watch. So, actually, I'm just kidding. Please watch that video. It helps out the channel. But I may change my mind. You never know. I may actually pick Missouri. Tune in to find out. We appreciate you, Joshua. What a start to the day.
It's a lot to unpack right there.
The Tide.
All right.
The Tide. Nate Oates breaks a clipboard. They couldn't get stops. We talked about how formidable their front line is in ways that I feel transcend the stat lines. And didn't matter. Mitchell had a field day. I mean, to be honest, I don't think anybody was beating Missouri last night anyway, but didn't feel great if you were on the other end of that.
No, I don't think giving up 110 points is going to make anybody feel good. Nate Oates wasn't happy. Team was frustrated. I was happy with Mark Sears. I thought he had a great bounce back performance. Thought Youngblood made some nice plays. It was the front court minus Mo D. I think Mo D he's doing everything he can. But I need more out of Big Cliff and Grant Nelson. If this is going to be a Final Four repeat, if this is a team that's going to be battling with the Houstons, with the Dukes outside of the conference, they have got to get some more consistency out of the guys they're physical guys. It has not been their consistency. I feel like 2 weeks ago, Blake, we were saying like, here's Big Cliff. Here he is. You can really feel his presence. This past week or so, I have not been feeling that. Sorry to call guys out. I really don't want – I never really do that. But, hey, when you're trying to go back-to-back Final Fours and it's crunch time here, I think it's warranted.
Yeah, I mean, you think, like we said, Big Cliff was he was questionable, and they took him off the injury reports. You're like, okay, he's good to play. Like, everything was all right. And then, yeah, like you talk about, Tyler brought up, like the foul trouble, all those things. It just was not, I mean, you look at the past two games, really. Let's just call it what it is. 110-98, 94-85, right? And again, you're playing two of the best offensive teams out there when they get going in Auburn and Missouri. But I don't know, like that is kind of, like I said, I mean, the fact that this team has not led in the past 80 minutes of basketball, right? It's just kind of, it is one of those things where you kind of look up and wonder, and, we're starting to see that defensive number for Alabama creep backwards, right? We were having all the fun last night about Kentucky moving into the top 70 in defensive efficiency. Well, Alabama's starting to get closer to that, 50 mark now after these past two games. Like I said, opponent matters, but we say that, Max, like, look at their remaining schedule. We've said it. Like, they have the toughest remaining schedule of anybody. Now they got to play Kentucky, another offensive juggernaut at times on Saturday. Mississippi State starting to figure some things out next Tuesday. Then they go to Tennessee, home against Florida at Auburn. So, I mean, you know what we've said many times that like the schedule can break some teams. I don't know that we really considered what it would do to like one of these top tier teams when they had a stretch like this, because again, Alabama easily has the toughest schedule remaining of anybody, and it started really with that Auburn game. You could have even said it started 2 games before that, the way Arkansas was playing, back-to-back road games in Arkansas and Texas. But I mean, this is just an unbelievable stretch of games here. When you talk about the quality of opponent that they are playing. Again, go back even a week, and now all the way through the end of the season. So, will this be a good thing for Alabama? Will this be a bad thing for Alabama? I'm curious to see, because this will certainly expose some of your weaknesses in games like this. And yeah, as Big Baller Brett says, like as we've said all season, like it's a matter of you're going to have injuries. What part of your schedule do you get whenever you have those injuries? And you feel like Alabama's at kind of one of those points where they can't really afford to be down a man or two, and feel like they're not kind of having that rhythm in their rotations, because there is no room for error in this kind of schedule that they've got throughout the rest of the regular season.
Chris might be frozen again, I think.
It's a little cold out there.
Who brought it up? Sam did. They missed Darian Reed last night. This is what I wanted to say. We're talking about the defense starting to creep back, that efficiency number. Well, not having your 20 minutes a game of your 6'8", 5-star out on the perimeter probably has some to play with it. And then you add in Cliff being questionable, and, who knows who's practicing. Who knows what practice looks like. And that's probably affecting rotations, communication defensively. So not only the physical bodies that they're missing, but also, I mean, who knows what the reps are looking like, what the continuity is looking like in practice. Who knows at this point? I think you're starting to see that giving up 110.
I see the internet jokes here. Is it just mine this morning, or is it yours too?
I think the internet is frozen, Chris. I think your internet they've said, you know what? It's negative 18 degrees wind chill outside, whatever it is, and we're not going to provide, is what your internet provider is saying right now.
Well, it's not for lack of trying on my end. Anyway, it's a snow day, and my wife is working from home, which is a deadly combination. But anyway, yeah.
So that was
right. I might have to turn on the portable here in a minute. It is a little chilly in here. How cold is it in your garage today?
Yeah, listen to you over there. It's a little chilly in here. So it's 70. It's 71 in here. It's a little chilly. Meanwhile, over here, it's literally there's a snowman walking in the door. Like legitimately, the snowman. He's walking right in. So it's a little chilly.
Real quick, like the snow.
He does.
Yeah. Real quick, just because the chat is bringing it up a lot. Mizzou's March Madness seeding outlook now. Looks like we've got some takes being thrown out in the chat. 1 is out of a reach. Ceiling is a 3. Small chance at a 2 seed. Could easily be a 2 seed. What do you guys think?
Here's the thing about Missouri. Is that
let's settle on a 3.
I think that's probably the highest they could go, because, look, the non-conference schedule is just not the number is just not there, right? I mean, the non-conference schedule, they're what, 357? Looks like it says on KenPom. I don't know what the numbers are different everywhere. Can we get an actual official non-conference schedule string? Everybody has a different number when it comes to the non-conference schedule string. So I'm just going to tell you that KenPom has it at 357. So I know they beat Kansas, but, well, that's a discussion for another day.
Everybody's beating Kansas right now.
To what that looks like right now. But they don't really have any quality wins outside that in the non-conference. And so I think that's what hurts them a little bit. But we've also said, you can make up for that by just winning big games in SEC play. At Florida is a monster game. The Arkansas win's looking better. The win against Ole Miss, the win against Mississippi State by 27, beating Alabama. So they're racking up good wins. Look, they're not getting to a 1 seed. I think it's going to be very tough to even entertain the idea of a 2. But I think, sure, if they were to win out or something, and let's say, I don't even think the SEC tournament at that point really matters all that much. Sure, you could see them being in a position where they're flirting with the idea of being on that 3 line, something like that. I don't think that's unrealistic at all.
Blake, I kind of zoned out there. You might have mentioned this, but Dean, did you bring up Dean's point here about the big time you did? Okay, sorry about that.
And that's like we said, and even that, right? And we were talking about Kansas dropping off, but that's a good point. Like Illinois dropped off a bit. Memphis is what, an 8 or 9 seed maybe right now. I don't know. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's the difference. And, that's probably when your non-conference schedule, if it was just average, right? If the numbers were just average, if they were 200 or something, a little bit different. But if you're 350s, that's not probably 1 seed type material, 2 seed type material, no matter how good you are elsewhere. But yeah.
All right, do we jump around here?
Well,
Let's do.
I think before we do that, before we jump around,
maybe.
I think we're not gonna move around just yet. We saved the moving around for later when we all need to get up and stretch our knees out. But for now, we're talking about Missouri and the potential that they could now be the national champions in our gut bracket. Max and I, we will fill out another gut bracket here soon. And Missouri may win it all. Because if they do win it all and we decide to take them all the way to the national championship, then we're going to do it with our friends at Bracket Bids. Because, as we keep telling you, that is what's going to take your college hoops experience to the next level this March when you get to enter into that free pick'em contest or start an auction draft league with friends, family, or coworkers. Mother Carol's already signed up. What are you all waiting for? Are you kidding me right now? Come on. Mother Carol, dedicated to the craft here of Bracket Bids. Everyone starts with the same bidding dollars, but it's up to you to outwit and outbid your league mates to secure the teams you think will go the distance. Choose from multiple scoring models, including upset bonuses, to reward the bold picks. Track your teams with live in-game scoring and watch the standings shift in real time. The further your teams advance, the higher you climb the standings. For league play, use that promo code SC16 for 40% off. SC16, 40% off. Download the Bracket Bids app today and visit them at bracketbids.com.
Real quick before we jump to the next game, we got a $5 super chat from Eric. I like this. This is some good stuff here. Mizzou's performance against the top teams in the nation negates the non-con strength of schedule. Any other thought? Patently stupid. Can we steal that? Can we steal patently stupid? I want to start calling other things patently stupid.
Should we put out some merch, a shirt, where it's the Southeastern 16 logo, and then it just says patently stupid. So then you can read that both ways. If you don't like us, you can buy the shirt. If you do like us, you can buy the shirt. It's a win-win for us because either way, I think it works out great. So, yeah.
Yep, good stuff.
Well, here's the problem. There's a lot of elite teams in the league this year, and most of them have 2 or 3 really good or great wins out of conference. And that's the ladder you're trying to climb. Like the rungs that Missouri has to clear to get to 4 aren't super challenging with the wins it's got and how good it's been. But once you get to that spot where you're trying to crack a 3-line or higher, you're going up against A&M and Alabama and Tennessee and Auburn. And I mean, Auburn's in its own stratosphere, but you get my point that those guys all racked up 3 or 4 really wins of note in the non-conference, and Missouri starts, if you just assume everybody had 3 or 4, Missouri starts 2 or 3 down from that group. Other than Florida.
Yeah.
Florida was the one exception, but Florida's computer numbers are so strong right now. That's kind of the Gators' carrying tool.
It's not just your resume, it's everyone else's resume.
Right.
So, all right. We spent 30 minutes on Missouri, Alabama. We are men of the people. And Missouri fans were excited this morning. Tom, as he brings up, the man, the myth, the legend, none other than DG himself. Shout out to Dustin, too. Says first time, long time. Cannot tell Dustin their 19's better than the Tigers of Como. Forget the non-conference schedule. It's a crime if this team doesn't end up as a 2. Put them in jail if they don't put these guys as the 2 seed. I like it, Dustin. All right. I'll tell you who's not a 2 seed. That's the Auburn Tigers. They're a 1 seed as they get the win over Arkansas. Got a little interesting. They're late. Got a little interesting. But I will say this. Usually I am sitting here sometimes and I have to admit when Chris Lee is right about something. And it really bothers me when I have to do that. It doesn't bother me as much when I have to admit that Max Barr is right about something. Because you see, Max is he's a man of the future, and he sees way further ahead than everybody else. Max said this week on the Power Rankings that he had ranked Arkansas all the way up at 7. And Chris and I said, Max, you take the floor for this one. We cannot support this idea. We cannot support it. But I tell you, as I'm watching this game last night, I'm thinking Max Barr might be an actual genius. Because that looks like a team. And I know, like they're sitting here at 4-9 now. But I mean, they are right there in every single game they played since that loss at Missouri 1 month ago. And there were a couple times there where I thought they're about to win this game. But what do you know? Auburn been in these spots before. They make the big plays down the stretch. And even on what was not Auburn's best night, especially shooting the ball, they go 4-24 here. They find a way to win, and that's what great teams do.
We mentioned last night, somebody asked us who's our biggest energy guy in the league. And I think I said Chad Baker Mazara. Blake said, who did you say? You said Dylan
The Incredible
Caldwell.
Hulk.
Max,
the Hulkster.
I don't remember who you said. Their energy guy last night was Chaney Johnson. I mean, I don't know how much your attention was divided between that and the Missouri game, but when they would go to commercials or when that game got a little bit more out of hand, I would tune in a little bit more to Auburn. And his defense and just everything he did last night. Janai Broome will go down as the MVP of the game, probably. He did in Ken Pom. But Chaney Johnson is the guy, when that game was touch and go late, just kept making one big play after another.
Yeah, I got multiple takeaways from this game. Few for each team. The one for starting with Auburn, not a pretty win, but it's a win that makes me more confident about them, if that's even possible at this point in the season, because this huge letdown spot, right? You saw it coming out of the gate with Alabama. What was that? It was like 12-0 or something like that. So you have that emotional kind of factor into this game, and it's a game where they don't make their threes. Auburn shoots 4 of 24 from three-point land, only 16.7%. Things aren't going their way. They find a way to win a game in the 60s, a tight one. They do it like you said, Chris, with Chaney Johnson, with some nice stuff in the mid-range. They had to really work the ball movement to get some good looks inside for Janai Broome and stuff like that. It's a ugly win, but I like that. I like that they won ugly, if that makes any sense. You can win pretty, you can win ugly. Auburn can do both. For Arkansas, I am going to take a little victory lap there. They're good, guys. They're just good. They're not deep. They're not deep, but they're one of those teams that got the 6-7 man rotation down. You know exactly what you're going to get now. It's the consistency. It's a complete opposite from the non-conference with Arkansas. We had no clue what we were going to get, no clue what lineup we were going to get. Arkansas is bigger. Their defense is better. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere.
Well, consider this too with Arkansas. Like, they played 8 guys last night, but they really only played 6. Where, I mean, Adu and Brazil played 9 minutes each, right? But if you look at the 6 that they played, which I feel like is like a John Calipari special, where if he can get that rotation down to 6, he's got you right where he wants you.
Yep.
And so Of those six, though, like we said, sure, Big Z is 7'2", but 6'4", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'8", and I think matchup wise, they're a tough matchup for teams. And it's part size, but I think it's also just kind of the different ways that these guys can play. And I mean, we keep talking about this guy, but Adou Thiero, if we still had the 9-man All SEC first team, which thank goodness we don't anymore. But if we did, I don't care. That guy's on that team somewhere. Maybe he's not going to be on there for the 5-man, but I'm telling you, he is just that guy just does so many good things. The breakout season in full effect. Max was right about that one too. But we know too, we said it all season long, that the difference was always going to be Johnell Davis and whether he could ever just sort of get going. And now that he's scoring consistently, I don't think it's any coincidence that if you go back to really, after that Georgia game, that's where he started taking off. And that is, in my opinion, really, this is the best stretch of the season for Arkansas, this 3.5 weeks or whatever it's been. And it's because he's playing well. And that's been the difference. And we said it, that was going to have to be the key if they were ever going to turn this thing around. He was projected in our minds to be their top scorer this season. And I think now that you see the way he's contributing, it makes it so much easier for them to just be competitive no matter who they're playing every single night to have a chance. But something else too here, you look at, the defensive numbers. We're not looking at a top 20 defensive team in the country. And an offense that's getting more and more confident. The numbers are what they are at this point. Again, you have to factor in really a good chunk of the season before they got going. So some of those numbers are still kind of skewed towards the bad Arkansas. But the good Arkansas is playing better offensively. They're a really good defensive team that's making it hard for people to get good shots. And they've just kind of turned it on in every single area. And so, yeah, that's the thing though, right? They still got a lot of work to do to make the NCAA tournament. And, when you put yourself in that kind of position, you kind of are where you are. But I'm telling you, if they keep playing like they're playing, I don't see a way that they're going to get left out, because I think they're just going to win some games here down the stretch. And like we said, I'm not saying they're going to go 5-0 the rest of the way, because they got to host Missouri on Saturday. But they have 5 games that are all winnable. Right? And I know Missouri fans in here thinking, come on, they're not going to beat the Tigers. But these are all games based on location and opponent. The way Arkansas is playing right now, you're not just going to sit there and say they got no shot.
We talked last night about how consistent I think Otega Oweh had been for Kentucky and Johni Broome. If you're doing an all-consistency team, he'd be on it. Johni Broome would be on it, because the box scores are, at least good, if not great, every night. And Thiero would be on there too. Foul trouble sometimes limits the stat line, but just so good. But I'll tell you that the thing that stood out for me last night, guys, when they made their run, because boy, this guy was inconsistent earlier in the year. But now with the tightened up rotation and maybe him sliding into a role that fits him better, Johnell Davis was just the guy that really led the charge for them to make it close at the end. I don't know if you watched, but Chad Baker-Mazar is out there just dumping in a routine entry pass to the post. He gets his hands on it, gets a steal. He was finishing, just doing all kinds of stuff last night. If we're talking about why Arkansas is a different team, I think it's the fact that Davis has really started to play like the guy we thought we'd be seeing.
6:30 left in the second half. Chaney Johnson makes a jumper. Auburn goes up 53-45, grab an 8-point lead. The crowd's going nuts, and you're thinking, okay, it's been close for 30 minutes, 33 minutes, but here's where the crowd kind of takes over, and Auburn goes and wins by, I don't know, what was the spread? The spread was something insanely disrespectful. It was out there at 16 or something like that. But this is where they go out and maybe they're playing with their food all game, and then they cover the spread in the last 5 minutes. What happens right after that? DJ Wagner goes and hits a layup. Adou Thiero gets a dunk, and then Johnell Davis hits the mid-range, and then the next possession, pokes it out, steal, run out, and it's a 2-point game in a minute. And you're like, whoa, now we got a ball game. I've seen this 20 times this year. This is when Auburn pushes this thing out, and it looks like a blowout. This isn't how it's supposed to happen. I like the fight from the Hogs.
All right, so I'm going to see if I can find something here to pull up. But by the way, in case you missed it, if you're a Vice TV watcher, a little Southeastern 16 flavor in the John Calipari documentary this week. So the newest episode, you can hear a little Southeastern 16 there in the first couple minutes. If you guys want to check it out, drop the link in the comments there. You'll hear one of us schlubs talking about how we think Kentucky was going to beat Arkansas. Glad they picked the right one here. Why do they always pick me? Does everybody pick me to act like I'm disrespecting these teams? I don't understand. So, no, check us out. Little Southeastern 16 in there. But let's see what did Cal have to say after the game. We always like our John Calipari press conferences, right? I see one here where he's doing some gyrations. Always my favorite. So let's check this one out and see what he had to say about this one. Actually, I'm not going to do this one because this is an ESPN thing, and you never know. So, all right, you guys talk about something. I'm going to find a better one.
There goes that. Well, as Blake is doing that, this is a note from Virginia Double Dribble. Arkansas, only 14 fouls for the game. Very clean defense. Have we been just overlooking the Hogs defense for the past 2 months? Not realizing how good they are?
Well, I mean, look, we've talked about it, but I was looking at this earlier, and this is just the league we're in this year. Like, Missouri just scored 110 points last night on Alabama. And I know Alabama's defense is not Alabama's thing, but Alabama's not awful on that end either. Missouri's 5 in the country. I'm sorry, 5 in the SEC in offensive efficiency for the year. That's just been the story all year. It's been offense, offense, offense everywhere you look, other than maybe Tennessee, which Tennessee's going to get headlines because Tennessee does that every year. We expect it. We know to look for it. I just think it's a circumstantial thing. I mean, we have mentioned it. It's just been there's so much that's been overwhelming with the offenses in this league. Between that and, a month ago we all thought Arkansas was irrelevant. There was no sense in really paying attention to what was going on because it wasn't even going to end in the NIT at that point. So I think that's it. It's not like we haven't noticed. It's just been there's so much to talk about.
Yeah. Blake, you.
All right. I can't. There's not another clip outside of just the ESPN clip, so I'm just gonna. He was just, talking about the usual stuff, just sort of saying that, hey, there's a reason why Auburn's number one and why we have the record we are is because we just can't finish some of these games, and so that's obviously a big focus for them. Because I think about it too, right? And you look at the numbers with Arkansas: 7-point loss at home to Ole Miss, 8-point loss at home to Florida, 4-point loss at LSU, 3-point loss at home to Oklahoma, 4-point home loss to Alabama, 8-point road loss to Texas A&M, 7-point road loss at Auburn. I mean, there's just not a team that's probably played that many close games. And so, he's right. They can't find a way to finish some of these. But the difference is they are actually finding a way in some of these here down the stretch. So we'll see. As I said, I think got a pretty not favorable schedule, but all things considered, when you compare it to other schedules, I think a manageable schedule the rest of the way to be able to get to that 7-win mark or so in the SEC and see if that's enough for them. Yeah.
Max mentioned this earlier, or maybe you did, Blake. Here's one thing that I really love about Auburn, to get back to them for a minute. They can win in so many different ways. Like they've won with Janai Broome being the ringleader. They've won with him on the bench with the sprained ankle. They won, a rock fight with Tennessee, 53-51. They won one of those last night, 67-60. They won a shootout with Alabama on the road this last weekend. One thing that I'm looking for, we joke about brackets and the NCAA tournament is so much matchups, but there's a few teams that are kind of matchup proof, and you kind of pick them no matter who they're playing. And I think Auburn is got to be, if anybody's matchup proof, is Auburn not at the top of that conversation nationally? I mean, to me, that's what I've been thinking for a while, and last night was just a little bit more proof of that.
Yeah. Got a few super chats to get through, Blake. We're a little bit backed up here.
Yeah, sorry. I haven't seen any of these. Yeah, pull them up, whichever ones we're missing here.
Zach just got in here. He made a live. Zach has been plugging through the night shift, doing what you got to do. He had a feeling that this game would be close coming off the big one. Cal always plays Bruce well. Survived, though. It's all that matters. Ugly win, but got to win, Zach. Thanks for checking in. And we got... Oh, did we already do a few others? Sorry about that.
Did we do the $2 one from Doug? We appreciate it, Doug, the sports collector. $2 to say M-I-Z
Nice.
Here.
Nice.
We appreciate
nice.
that. Yeah, good. Nice super chat stream here this morning. We appreciate you guys, for sure. And again, yeah, I mean, we knew Missouri fans would be fired up this morning. Sometimes like we talked about, Max and I predicted it. We knew there was going to be a late game last night. Remember, Max is on Eastern time. So if you wonder why sometimes we're not able to go live on the weeknights after the late games, especially when it's a game that includes 68 free throws, we try to give our guy Max a little bit of time back to go live the following morning. So there you go. All right, what else we need to get to? Again, we talked about Kentucky, Vanderbilt in another stream. Since that was the early game, we did do that after that game last night. And so talked about the Cats getting a 82-61 win over the Commodores, what that meant for both of those teams moving forward, especially Vanderbilt, who's trying to also, just like Arkansas, find their way into the NCAA tournament. So we mentioned that. Of course, the Cats got Alabama coming up on Saturday. We'll record that prediction video right after this and have prediction videos out today for Tennessee and Texas A&M. Oh, my. Now that is going to be a physical basketball game in the SEC. And, yeah, so that's what we're going to do with that one. We're also going to do Kentucky. No, is that right? Yeah, Kentucky, Alabama, and then Missouri, Arkansas. You'll get those in 3 videos today. Separate videos, that is. So, come on, Sam. I'm trying to help out Max more. Why you always got to put this on?
Been instigating all morning.
Hey, what's going on here, Sam? I don't understand.
Blame Sam at this channel.
Got a lot of Sams in
here. A little bit of juice today.
Oh, they're always
Sam Smith. Well, Sam Smith just pops in and immediately just hasn't missed a beat. Just starts throwing propaganda out there all over the place. But listen, we try to help our guy Max out here. Max is working all day doing stuff. He's over here. Just come on. This guy sleeps in May. All right.
Someone asked in the chat earlier when I was going to bring back my my best bets for if I was going to bring him back for March Madness. It's tough when I got all the production responsibilities now. I don't have a lot of time to. Because, hey, when you're giving out picks and you have other people putting money on stuff that you're telling them to, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I don't want to be losing anyone money. So if I can get some time, guys, I will. But it's been a busy season.
Well, Max is our man behind the scenes doing our graphics. And there's lots of stuff that's on Max's plate that goes beyond just what you see on the screen here.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to do a... Are we going to do a... I don't want to say it, because I'll get too excited, but we don't have to.
Hold on. Let me just check real quick. Hold on. Let me see if there's a certain one that's been updated. Because I only like to use authorized sources on the bracket, okay? So I don't like to use any shady brackets out there. So let me see if we can...
You never know.
I mean, let's see. Trying to see if Rocco had his updated, but I think Rocco's updates today. Let me see if I can find his because we used Lenardi's last time, right?
Yeah.
So, by the way, the first thing I see on Rocco's page. Have you seen the Florida Atlantic tonight? It's Seinfeld night.
No way.
So fans get to meet Kramer, and for photos and autographs. Plus, they do a custom Seinfeld poster giveaway. Here, let's pull this up. Everyone should do this each season. You should have a nice Seinfeld night. I think is I would be for that. So let's see if I can
where
pull it
again?
up here. It's at FAU.
FAU?
Yeah. So it's it's Seinfeld night. So you get to, you probably can't read the small print there, but they're doing a Pez Dispenser giveaway. Plus Florida Atlantic's renowned marine biology program will receive special in-game recognition. So tremendous stuff there.
Can the
for
SEC
Seinfeld night.
get a Seinfeld night?
That'd be
Where's our
nice.
Seinfeld night?
Garth, are you listening?
So, Seinfeld night in the SEC. All right, Max. I can't find a bracket. We might have to wait till.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think Rocco doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't update it until Friday. So I'd like to have a Rocco bracket next time for the gut bracket. So
You can't force it. You can't force a gut bracket. It's one thing about the gut bracket.
yeah, come on. I know you guys want it, but we can't force it. So, all right. Anything else we need to get to in the chat? I think that's it. So, all right, we got something else to get to though, because I don't have a great segue for this one. Let's just talk about Sanders moving, okay? Because Sanders moving is moving at its best.
He's trying so hard to keep up.
Yeah, I'm trying to throw Chris off here because I know he's trying to keep count, but I'm just going to throw him off with this ad read. So, Sanders Moving, formerly known as Ted R. Sanders Moving, and Sanders Logistics, your friends and mine, a leader among moving companies in Nashville, Tennessee, and the surrounding area. Their team of professional movers are focused on delivering efficient, hassle-free moving at an affordable price. Whether you are moving across town or across the country, or you're moving from, let's say, Lexington to Nashville, maybe you're moving from Starkville to Oxford, maybe you're moving from Knoxville to Gainesville, maybe you're moving from Los Angeles to I don't even know where else. You're moving all over the place. SEC teams are moving in the standings. Lots of moving. Sanders moving. It's moving Missouri to the national championship. Lots of stuff going on when it comes to this. But if you're really looking for this whole thing in a nutshell, you can find it all at TedRSandersMoving.com.
Beautiful.
We're out of here.
Out of here.
I did my best.
Yeah. Please. All right. Predictions coming up in a little bit. We got baseball, football stuff coming up on the channel as well. But, yeah, big prediction videos this weekend. Big ones coming up.
Yep.
Yes, we are going to have baseball stuff. We're previewing the weekend. We will go live probably around 10:30 for that. We're going to have a special video for you. Will not be live. Arkansas fans on your baseball team and its pitching staff. That will probably go up in the morning. And then Chase and I, and maybe a special guest, we're seeing if we can nail that down, are going to be talking about all this college football playoff craziness and the future formats and all that. So that's all that stuff's coming today. Again, the Arkansas baseball thing will probably be a standoff that'll come tomorrow. But got a lot going on here at the channel across the major three sports. Hope you will tune in for all that. For Blake Lovell, for Max Barr, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16.